Destiny, thoughts? I mean, Asmongold, he's usually based on Ukraine, right?
Long time, so I hope we're gonna get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that
Somebody says Russia started the war, Russia's losing the war. What kind of sense does it make if they win something from this? It makes sense because they have nuclear weapons. And we can't force them and stop them to do it. That's the reason why. So do we.
If you want to make that argument, then fine. Fine, go ahead and make it. But please stop saying that Trump is a great negotiator then. Like, why did we vote for Trump if Russia still has nuclear weapons? Like, Trump didn't change that. So are we admitting then that Trump could never negotiate anything in the first place? Like, it was always a lost cause? So voting for him as the great negotiator who was going to end this conflict, by the way, on day one, that was going to be, or that was all like a waste of time. It was all pointless. Like,
okay, well, like, so which one's better, right? Ukraine gives up some land or we have a nuclear holocaust? We all know what the answer is. That's just the truth.
True. Germany either gets Poland, we have to give land, or it's just going to be World War II. We can't do that, guys. Appeasement works every time.
It shouldn't be, but it is. That's how I see it. I hope. Now, maybe somebody else has insight that I haven't thought of, but man, it looks bad. And again, like, this is coming from somebody, like, I'm very pro-Ukraine. Like, I'm not against them at all. Like, I've been positive towards them the entire.
Yeah, maybe we need a little bit of World War III at this point, actually, to remind people of, like, who's who and who stands where.
Time. But I can't see how you can look at this any other way.
This is what I said about, like, conservatives taking over like every aspect of everything, such that people who have no clue, not to be mean or whatever, about, like, politics or anything, like, why is Theo Vaughn tweeting this? Tell that guy to give us our tax dollars back and get the f out of here. Disrespectful guy using our money and using his own people. Like, hello? What? Why? What do you even know? What, like, I watched the entire press conference with Zelensky. There was 40 minutes of discussion up to the argument. Most people saw at most the last 10 minutes. The whole video gives the proper context. When I first watched the argument without the proper context, I thought it was possible that Trump and Vance ambushed Zelensky or were even trying to humiliate him. That's not what happened. You had 40 minutes of calm conversation. Vance made a point that didn't attack Zelensky and wasn't even addressed to him, and Zelensky clearly started the argument.
On the minerals deal.
Mr. President, when did you last speak with President Putin?
Occupied.
Thank you.
Of America, and it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world.
For 4 years, the
I want so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump's doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but yes, but during 2014 till 2022, you know, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken the ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, GD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's...
Like, this is a fair question. Like, what is the... Zelensky started the argument? The problem is also, like, just people just don't know anything about foreign policy or don't know anything about, like, you can't sign a deal like this without a security guarantee. What are you supposed to do? Like, you can't sign an agreement without a guarantee that you aren't going to get invaded again. That's a perfectly fair question. They've already had a ton of these types of agreements. We've had Minsk 1 and 2. We've had however many. Zelensky says 25 different types of ceasefires that have been signed. They've all been broken. Like, what the fuck? This is a fair question. And they've said over and over and over again in that press conference that, well, we're not going to worry about security. We're not going to do anything about security. We're not going to be doing anything. We're just going to hope they don't attack. In the first 40 minutes, Zelensky kept trying to go beyond what was negotiated in the deal. When Trump... Hold on. Fuck. Do you think... Am I friends with him on... I wonder if he would chat with this. In the first 40 minutes, Zelensky kept trying to go beyond what was negotiated in the deal. There is no deal yet, right? I don't think anything's been formally agreed to. There can't be a deal without a security guarantee. Otherwise, what are you signing? What the fuck are you signing? Can we have some resources? Sure, here you go. What kind of a deal is that? That's not a deal. That's a racket. When Trump was asked a question, it was always, we'll see. No, it wasn't always, we'll see. It was nothing. He didn't say anything about, like, what are we going to do to make sure that Russia doesn't attack again? I don't know. Well, they would never do that. Like, Zelensky made blanket assertions that there would be no negotiating with Putin and that Russia would pay for the war. Yeah, it's fair. They invaded. Of course they should have to pay for territory that they've destroyed. Why would they not? What do you mean? Otherwise, what kind of deal are we negotiating? What kind of deal are we negotiating? When Trump said that it was a tragedy that people on both sides were dying, Zelensky interjected that the Russians were the invaders. Yeah, because Trump's trying to both sides it. No shit. For his part, Trump made clear that the U.S. would continue delivering military aid. Does that feel super clear? All Zelensky had to do was remain calm for a few more minutes, and they would have signed a deal. A deal for what? Zelensky will not and should not sign a deal without a security guarantee. Without a security assurance, it's no deal. There is no deal there. What do you mean? Destiny, please Google Doge of Venice. It is worth the laugh. Elon is so on the nose with the oligarch thing. I know it's off topic. Maybe I will in the future. Bro, I'll get so many things I have to cover right now without diving into other topics. The argument started when Trump pointed out that it would be hard to make a deal if you talk about Putin the way Zelensky does. What is this cuck bullshit? I thought we were the United States. If you say mean things, why would you even be surprised at the country that you're invading that leader would have mean things to say about you? What are you talking about? Vance interjects to make the reasonable point that Biden called Putin names, and that didn't get us anywhere. Bro, this is like the Zelensky-Trump dynamic was calm and stable. Yeah, when Trump was lying over and over and over and over and over again, it was when Vance spoke that Zelensky started to interrogate him. Zelensky asked a question backed up by history about what is diplomacy if Russia can just break a deal over and over and over and over again. Throughout the press conference to that point, everyone was making their arguments directly to the audience. Zelensky decided to challenge Vance and ask him hostile questions. Kill me, fam. Actually fucking kill me. He went back to his point that Putin never sticks to ceasefires, once again implying that negotiations are pointless. They have been! Why on earth would you do this? Then came the fight we all saw. Zelensky was minutes away from being home free, and he would have had the deal and new commitments from the Trump. There is no deal! The point Vance made was directed against Biden and the media. Why are you even talking about Biden? Taking them to task for speaking in moralistic terms, this offended Zelensky. Oh my God. Why am I reading this? I've been a fan up to Zelensky. Oh my God, and he got 28,000 likes for that, so he's going to be fully... Oh. I've been a fan of Zelensky up to this point, but this showed so much incompetence. It's not emotional instability, or if not emotional instability, that I don't see how he recovers from this. The relationship with the administration is broken. Ukraine should probably go with new leadership at this point. Do you think that... Is he getting that fat Russian money? What the fuck? On one hand, Trump is saying, with America, you hold all the cards. And on the other, he is saying he doesn't want Zelensky to want an advantage. These contradictions happen a lot lately. Why don't people call it out? Not worth. Nobody in American media can say anything bad about Trump because he'll kick you out of the press room. You'll be banned from ever doing interviews with him. So Trump has surrounded himself with sycophantic journalists. It's all the echo chamber. But I've said this is how the media works as well. On all of the conservative podcasts, you just invite people that you agree with already, and then you just basically circle jerk each other's points. There's no real pushback, and then it gives you so much more appearance of authority or appearance of unity around ideas because you just surround yourself with people who are all there to like reinforce the same point of view, basically. High-level Trump sources tell me the White House is now uncertain if they can even get the Russians and Ukrainians to stop fighting because this episode with Zelensky raised questions about whether he can move forward toward a peace deal. It also raises questions about whether the U.S. will pause aid to Ukraine. But Trump is not seeking regime change in Ukraine. No discussions about who in Ukraine might be a better leader than Zelensky. Ukrainian officials have reached out this afternoon to senior White House officials, desperate to get the deal back on track, but that will not happen today, I'm told. Trump is unwilling to talk to Zelensky further today. When Rubio and Waltz went into the Roosevelt room to ask Zelensky to leave, Rubio made it clear that any further engagements today would be counterproductive. Waltz told Zelensky he had made a tremendous mistake, and it was a grave disservice to Ukraine and to Americans both. No phone calls between Trump and Putin have been scheduled, but multiple European officials have called top Trump officials since Zelensky left, asking how the minerals deal can be salvaged. Trump fully intended to sign the minerals deal today. 2 official binders were prepared. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and his Ukrainian counterpart and the 2 presidents were going to sit at a conference table in the East Room and then Trump at their successive podiums. But there were suspicions before Zelensky arrived today that it might fall apart because the Trump admin had been pushing for weeks for a minerals deal signing at the ministerial level, and Ukraine had refused. Zelensky wanted security guarantees. U.S. officials thought negotiations would be much harder with Putin, so today might have been in disbelief that it had been Zelensky who has been more difficult, making maximalist demands, sources told me. I wonder if this was all planned to just blow up then. Did they really think they could get him to sign a deal with no security guarantees? Maybe not. But then, I mean, if he refuses the deal, now they can at least say, oh, well, we tried. It was Ukraine that refused. So, which is kind of the propaganda point that they and probably the rest of conservative media, if they're not already, are going to be trumpeting out now.